Welcome to the Flivver channel live stream. Tonight we have the usual collection of YouTube hooligans. Randall from the YouTube channel Shed by the Tracks. Randall is an honorary member of Possum Lodge and brings his unique blend of grandpa humor to our show. Randall's incredible home-built speedster, the Prairie Flyer, is a wonder. He claims to have designed it all in CAD, that's cardboard and determination. Rob's enthusiasm for Ford Model Ts and Model As is outshone only by his generosity to others. Rob's family are Model T people going back generations, and he is a wizard at repair and maintenance. Vince from the YouTube channel Baggett Corner. Vince focuses on stationary hit-and-miss engines, and more recently, restoring a fantastic original Ford Model TT truck. There's nothing he can't fix. And I'm Steven. My channel, Flivver Channel, focuses on the quirky characteristics of antique cars. I explore the fun and challenge of owning and driving a Model T, and the history of early automobiles. Thanks for joining us tonight. Feel free to comment in the chat. Ask us anything. We monitor the chat and will try to respond to most questions. Hey guys.
Good evening.
Welcome. I found that intro was really choppy. Did other people see problems with it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope it was good.
Not too bad. I've seen worse.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, welcome. Tonight is our Inquisition, and we're going to answer some questions. We've got ourselves a little selector tool here so that we can select who has to answer the question, and then we pick a question at random from a group of questions that we have, and you guys get to participate, you viewers, because we've got a chat question sector on the wheel. So whenever that comes up, we'll pull up one of your recently posted questions and do our best to answer that. So it's just going to be a discussion between the three of us, and we'll see where it leads. We'll use these questions to get us started. So tonight, let me introduce myself. I'm Steven from Flivver Channel. We've got Rob here. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
There we go. And Randall, who you know, one of our regulars.
Well, thanks for having us, Steven. We've been looking forward to this ever since you mentioned that you had a game in mind. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I think you said in the chat as well that you're looking for other questions from people in the audience as well.
Yep.
We can go into the mix.
Mm-hmm. So we'll try and keep an eye on your questions rolling in. And in the meantime, there we go. We got our first question. So we'll keep that one on deck, and we'll try and get things rolling here. So,
Steven,
go ahead.
Before you do start, Shopcat Industries asked if these spin wheels are they wooden spoked.
Yes, behind the scenes. That's right. So let's see who gets to answer the first question tonight. Oh, Randall, you're the lucky winner.
Oh, jeez.
And then let's see what your first question is. Question number 7. All right, so here's the questions. I'll read it for you.
Good.
If you could pass on one piece of wisdom about pursuing a passion for an antique car, what would it be?
Yes. Take up knitting. Yeah, just don't even try.
Don't do it.
No, if you want something to do that takes all your money and just puts you right on the edge of divorce, antique cars will do it for you. But
Would your wife would she agree with that reply, or would she
oh
say no?
yeah,
It's the best thing ever because it keeps them in the garage and out of the house.
well yeah, that is one benefit of it. It's keeping me out there. Uh, there was one thing I was going to say. Oh, if you the now this is serious. If you do have a classic, antique, whatever, old car, keep it on the road because once some guys get a car and they go, oh, I'm going to fix this, I'm going to go down to the frame, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That car will inevitably end up in a barn somewhere and never finished.
Never get finished. Yeah.
When they're taken apart because you lose interest.
Mm-hmm. I think that's true. It's really hard to stay on it when it's in pieces, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, you just out of sight, out of mind.
Yep. Do you concur, Rob?
I do. I would add to that as well. Yeah, stay on top of repairs because if something that's not necessarily super essential breaks, you can keep driving with it, but then the next thing you know, another thing breaks, and then another, and then you have 3 repairs, which is going to be way more costly, and it can be very discouraging. And from my experience, it's really hard to sell that to your spouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
How many old cars have you guys gotten into? And the first thing the guy says is, "Don't roll that window down."
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that is so true. God, that would have been a good question on our list. What's wrong with your car that you have to warn to passengers? Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right, good one. All right, let's spin our wheel again and see what we got next.
And Stephen, as you're doing the spin, just so you know, there are a couple of questions that have come in through.
Okay, good
as well.
So if we get it might be Randall again. Hey, how about this?
Well, you got this rigged or what?
Maybe. Maybe.
All
so
right.
we'll try it. We'll trust that it's random, but if it's getting to be always picking you, Randall, we'll find another way. We'll find another way. So let's see what question we've got for you this time. I was supposed to. Number 9. I'll read it for you. Aha, this would be good. If one of your cars had a personality and could talk, which one would be the biggest complainer and what would it say?
Oh my God. Well, I only have 2. Geez, what would it say? It would probably say, well, he tried. That's all I can come up with. The old cars, the T and Buick, get way more attention to than the ones I drive.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd probably complain more. That's all I got.
Oh, that's good. So what would the T complain to you about?
Oh, geez. I don't know.
You got too heavy a foot, or too fast around the corners, not
What?
polishing it enough. What would it be?
Yeah, not polishing it enough. I'm all about the polishing. Yeah. Um, no, it just say take it easy on the clutch, probably.
Yeah, I know mine would. It would complain about the long list of things I've promised to fix and improve, and I haven't yet.
Yeah.
And yet I keep driving her. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and mine would say, "Hey, you remember last year when you were working on me in the garage and revving up the engine when the hood was up, and then the hood rattled off and tipped over? That hurt."
Left a mark.
It left a pretty good mark actually on the driver's side front fender.
Ooh.
I've got so many marks on my fenders, I don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
Well, if you have enough of them, it might actually straighten out at one of the others when it hits, right?
Yeah. Certainly not noticeable at a certain point. That's why I go barreling down the gravel roads, hell bent for leather, because it's not going to make any difference as long as I can keep it out of the ditch. It's okay. Yeah. All right, we're going to roll again. If it's Randall, we will give him a pass. It's me.
And
All right. So I've removed questions 7 and 9 because they've been answered. So the chat questions become more and more likely. Here we go. All right. So what was that first chat question? I think that was Bugnut, right? Yeah.
that was, let's see, the first one.
There it is.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Have any of you have had to repair one of your tires while out on the road? Well, I'll start. And no, I've never had a flat on the road. I carry 2 spares, and mine being the wire wheels, it's probably the easiest Model T to deal with a spare. You just take a wheel off and put another one on like a modern car. So I think Murphy's Law states that if I didn't take spares, I would have had a flat by now. But since I do have spares, I don't have any problems at all. Doesn't seem fair, does it? How about you guys? Flats on the road? No?
Never had a flat. Not yet.
Rob?
I came this close to having a flat, but as luck would have it, I made it home before the tire let go. This was on my Model T a number of years ago, and it was before the new rubber. So the previous tires weren't cracked, but they were a little hardened, right? They were older tires, and I had been out for a little drive. I came home, everything was fine. The next day, I go out and I can see where the tire had split, close to the clincher rim, and it had blown out. So I was very lucky. And later that day, I hit submit on the order for new tires.
Mm-hmm. Now, those are clinchers, right? So I was helping my friend Russ mount new tires on his clincher rims. Mm-hmm. My God, is it ever difficult? How would you ever do that on the side of the road? We were in the comfort of a garage with all the time in the world and 2 men, and it was difficult.
Well, there are a few new words that you will invent, no matter what. That's going to happen. But my experience is that if the tires are newer and they're still softer, it's not anywhere near as bad to get them off. And when I changed mine, I left the wheels stayed right on the car, and I basically had to use a number of tools to get the old ones off, because I couldn't break the bead, and I couldn't get the clincher, that lip, to leave. And actually, they had been on for so long that the tire actually started to rip apart as I was, squeezing the tire together. So But I had since changed rims on one of my wooden fellows, and it was quite easy or relatively easy to get off. So I think it depends on how long they've been on for. But yeah, if they're older, you could be in for a bit of trouble at the side of the road.
World of hurt. Oh man, there's so much more. I had no idea they were so much more difficult to deal with.
The other thing you can do, which is what I have done on a couple of longer trips, is I bring a spare tire that is on a wheel. Now, you may have to change the hub, right? Depending on whether or not you have a front or rear tire out. If it's a rear, you also have to bring obviously your wheel puller and have those tools with you, but it is possible to change the entire wheel and rim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see why they evolved to the split rim and then eventually to the modern drop center wheels. That's for sure.
And I do see a lot of vehicles that are, say, my age, the 17 or even older T's that have switched over to the demountable, right? So they still use clinchers, but they are running the demountables for good reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. That's a good question. Thank you, Bugnut. All right. I think it's time to bring up our spinner again. All right. Let's see if Rob's still off the hook. Oh, Randall. You are lucky, man. Did you buy a lottery ticket?
No. I really don't think this is the day to do it.
Question number 10.
Well, at least I know my little code is working in there.
Yeah, you suck that. That's what you were busy doing right before the show. Sinking a little code in there so it'd never bring up Rob. Yeah. All right. Number 10, Randall, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice about cars, what would it be? Now, you can't give the same answer you gave to the last question.
I defer to my first answer.
Don't do it. Yeah, take the bus.
No, I think for a serious answer, I would say you may think that the old car hobby is polishing and painting and putting new mag wheels on and stuff like that, but it's not. It's 80%. Whoop, goes a motorcycle. 80% you know what work. You're going to spend most of your time standing at a wire wheel getting rust and garbage sprayed all over you. You know, that's the way it is. And when you're 80% done and all you've got is that last 20, that's going to take forever. So just be prepared for that.
I think that's good advice. It is a filthy, filthy hobby. You've got to be quite comfortable with being spattered and speckled and dusty and greasy and
but yeah. I would also add, though, there is a certain charm to that, as unappealing as it sounds, because when you do fix something and you do not need to be any sort of master mechanic to do that on these cars, but when you do get something fixed and you get it running or it's running better, it is a sense of accomplishment. And I don't think that all spouses, for example, are as excited with those repairs. And when you want to take them for a ride to show them how much quieter or better it is, the excitement isn't there. But certainly, I think if you're really a car enthusiast, and the vintage cars are definitely not to be overlooked. Although, yeah, it is very typically a dirty job.
Well, I got one thing I'll add to what I said. You know, I spent most of my life working on cars because I had to get to work the next day, and it just had to work, so anything it took, I had to get it on the road. Now, when I play around with these old cars, I've got all the time in the world kinda, because anything can happen. But I don't have to have it ready tomorrow morning to get to work to make more money. So it's a lot more enjoyable now than it was then.
Yeah. Very true.
Whoops.
And Russ, Bamsey asked, "Is it a sense of accomplishment or amazement?"
Well, we should ask Russ that question because he's 49 years into the same car.
Who is?
Russ, my friend here in Paris. Russ, he's been working on the same. He's had the same car for 49. He pulled it out of the field in the 70s, and it's almost ready to go on the road.
The wood bending guy?
Yes, that guy. Yep. Good one. All right. It's Rob's turn. Let's see the Wheel of Fortune here. Right. Okay, I'm going to hit it again. I'm going to hit it again, Randall.
Hit it again. Give me another card.
Oh, and it's me, Rob. You did put a secret code in there. All right. What's my question? Chat question. All right. Do we have another chat question? I'm not sure we do. Not yet. Anybody typing? Yeah, no, I don't see another.
There is one from Mike McLean that came in. Do you do the mechanicals first or the body work?
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, so I've never restored a car, so I'm not sure I'm the best person to answer this. I mean, I did do a very deep repair on an old Volkswagen I had just when I finished high school. So that was body work, repaint, and update on all the mechanicals. What order did I do things? No, it was all the mechanicals first because I wanted to be sure it was going to be worth the effort of the body work. I wanted to be able to take it out for drive and be sure, okay, this is a good car. It's worth the time and the effort because I already knew how time-consuming and tedious body work is. So, yeah, I did the mechanical first.
Yep.
I'd agree with that.
All right.
I concur.
There we go.
There, finally.
It failed. Right. I mean, succeeded.
Question number 5. Question number 5. If you could own any year and body style of a pre-war car, what would it be and why?
So currently, the car that I would love to have at one point, my grandfather had a 1930 Model A Deluxe Roadster, and I really wanted to buy one when I was out a few years ago looking for Model A's, and they were out of my price range. Now, I love the 2-door sedan that I have. It is a beautiful car, and I've been able to get it running quite well. But I would seriously consider trading that for a 30 or 31 Model A Roadster. That would be sort of my next car that I'd like to look at one day.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel similar. Like this is the dream that you could own something fancy like a American underslung or a Simplex or a Stutz or something, but I don't think I'd want one of those fancy cars. They'd be nice to drive, but I'd be so terrified. Parts are so hard to find. I don't know. I'm with you. I think I'd rather just have something. I'd always want to have a Model T, but I really wish I had something I could go farther and faster in. Mm-hmm. So a Model A Roadster, and that's, again, for me, the body style would be the Roadster.
Yeah.
I think is really ideal. Roadster pickup would be my perfect the perfect Model A for me.
I'd like. I've got a real thing for the Edwardian period. You know, I'd love to have something like that Beast of Turin to just with.
A monster,
Yeah,
flame breathing
fire-breathing
monster.
monster. Yes, that would be just awesome.
Good. All right. Cool. Good one, guys. Aha. See, Rob
Yeah.
comes back. Oh, I forgot to remove. What question number did you just do? You remember 5, right? Okay, so
Number
if it
5.
rings up 5, we got to spin it again. I forgot to remove it. I will later. What did I just say?
Again, my answer has not changed, by the way.
In the time that has passed. Number 8. All right, let's take a look.
Oh, I didn't study.
Question 8. I didn't study for this one. Is that what you said? This is not a test. Have you ever had a MacGyver moment while fixing a car where you used something totally ridiculous to solve the problem?
Okay, so it's funny. I did read through these questions ahead of time, and this was the one question I was hoping I wasn't going to be asked because I was struggling to think of one particular time. There have been a few things for sure. Let's see here. The one I was test driving somebody's Model A, a family member who just had bought one, who's also in the hobby or the curse, whatever you want to call it. And we had been driving maybe, let's say, 5 miles out of town, and all of a sudden the car just died outright. And I had freshly charged the battery before we took it for this test drive, so I knew I could crank it a fair bit, and I had quite a few chances to get it going again, and going and trying to narrow down, okay, what is it that actually has changed since we left. And anyway, it ended up being there was a partial short in the distributor, and I couldn't really fix it properly. I didn't have many tools with me, right? So I sort of jimmied up a wire. So inside the distributor, you have the lower and upper plates on a Model A. Well, most distributors, and that wire had basically shorted out. So I jimmied up a replacement wire concept, we'll say, and was able to piece it back together, retime the car, and just get it back up the hill. We got it to the point, it ran for a while with my substitute wire until we just got back onto my street and it died. And so we pushed it the last 75 feet, but anyway, we did get it back. And that was one situation. I'm trying to think. I had another situation where driving the Model T, I had a blockage. Well, what I later found out was a blockage. I was quite a ways away from home, so I had to do a little bit of CPR on the car, or artificial respiration rather, to try to push out the blockage that's in the fuel line. And so that took a little bit of crafty work to disconnect the line, get a bucket, and then put pressure onto the fuel tank to try to get it to blow out the gunk. Little things like that. And so I think, in the lesson I learned from that is duct tape and electrical tape are always your friends. Also, don't forget a little bit of oil, a bit of water or rad fluid. I did have a leak once, and that's an easy that's an easy fix for the rad. If it's not a huge leak, you can keep filling it with water. But things like that, but nothing really major. What about you guys?
No, I'm not really much of a MacGyver guy, but
I'm not
I don't.
saying nothing.
I'm sure I would in a pinch, but I don't know. I haven't had anything like that. I haven't.
Oh,
I actually haven't had a breakdown. Where's some wood? I have not had a breakdown in the Model T
I
on the
have
road. So
I have 209 videos of MacGyvering.
an
So
entire YouTube channel. Yeah, indeed.
oh,
Yeah.
I do have one more MacGyver story, and this was really a MacGyver story. So the Model T behind me here in picture, I was driving it on a tour a number of years ago, and the car had not been fully, I'll say, sorted out. There still were a couple of things here and there that I was still trying to work out. But one of the things I didn't realize is the roof had been sort of pulling on the front windshield, and it was a particularly windy day. All of a sudden, I noticed that the frame around the glass window started to kind of pull outward, and so basically the roof was pulling so hard on the window frame that it was separating. So I had some. It was the JB Weld, like kind of the crazy glue product, not the epoxy, but the stuff that sets after a couple of minutes. Anyway, that saved my bacon there. I was able to get that to reset and to not further, stretch out, at least until I could get it home and take it apart and fix it properly. So yeah, so there, having tools and having like fasteners and epoxies, always it's such a good idea to have, because you never know when you're going to need them.
Yeah. Well, maybe we all do a lot of this MacGyvering, and we just think it's normal on the roadside repairs, and don't think anything of it.
Somebody once told me, this is a temporary 10-year fix.
Oh, that's good. And it's for me. All right. Another chat question. I saw one here from Todd at Plywood Palace. Where are you? There we go. Longest distance in a day. So I've not done much long distance running in my T. My longest days are definitely the Niagara Falls tour we had, Rob, you and I, last summer. I think the longest day there was just over, it was like 150 kilometers, something like that, 180. It wasn't that much. It was more than I've ever driven, but I'm sure you guys have much better stories than that.
No.
Maybe in your new 49, you're gonna head cross country or something.
Yeah, that's gonna go a lot further than the T. The T is always a mixture of, is something gonna break or is somebody gonna kill me in it? That's what I worry about. So I just cruise it around town. I've never taken it out of the city. So yeah, the Buick's a different story. That's for going places.
That's nice. Are you gonna take it cross country or something like that?
No, I don't think I'm gonna get quite that crazy.
Go north, visit your friends up in Canada.
Yeah, I may take it on a undisclosed time trip north.
Yeah, that'd be good.
In the near future.
Wait for it to warm up a bit. Did you see Shopcat's recent video? He was still snow blowing. You don't want to go there quite yet.
Yeah.
A couple of folks that really have us beat there.
Yeah.
Bruce from Kleps, 260 miles in a T through Kansas. Wow, in a day. $335 for me in West Texas. Wow, on my coast to coast.
Yeah.
Trip.
No, we bow down. We bow down to your greatness.
We are amateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Me again. Another chat question. I saw one down here. There we go. Bugnut. Is there a project? Sorry, I'm trying to click buttons and read it. I can't do both at once. Is there a project that you've wanted to do to your car but haven't yet because of the cost or lack of knowledge? Every single one. But that definitely lack of knowledge, cost. Oh boy, oh boy. Let me think. I have the advantage. I can turn around and look at the car. So I'm still working on a new rear end for it. I should tell you a little bit of an update on that. I've gathered all my ring gears and pinions, and I took them over to Russ's so we could inspect them all and find the best pair to use. So after careful consideration and looking at all of them, Russ told me they're all crap and I got to find something better. So I still don't have a ring and pinion. Now I do have one more rear end that's in a barn. I got to pull out now that it's spring and see if it's any better. But that's where that project's at. So that's one not so much held up by cost, but certainly held up by knowledge. Yeah, I don't know. Model T stuff isn't very expensive. I mean, I'd love to have a Ruxel rear differential, but that's really expensive. So I haven't even put it on my wish list. It's kind of out there. Hopefully someday I'll buy another car that'll have one. Yeah. What about you guys? Any dream projects that you just can't really do?
No, I'm fat and dumb enough to try anything. So,
Yeah. So far,
fear is a great motivator.
Time has been my much more of an impediment to me than money or knowledge. Knowledge I can find, or I'll convince myself I know enough to blunder along stupidly.
Yeah.
But time is the thing. Like I bought all those strap type shock absorbers at Hershey. I haven't done anything with them yet. I want to get those into the lab and figure out how they work and do some bench testing on them. And then I want to get them on the car and see how it affects the handling. That's a project super interesting. Really looking forward to doing. I haven't even started it.
Yeah, I have a couple of fairly big jobs up ahead. Not on my Model T, but an upcoming project of a Model T truck that I'm inheriting, and it's going to need a fair amount of work. I think that the entire engine and transmission need to be stripped apart and reassessed. What I do know is that there is a lot of looseness in the transmission. I did pop the inspection cover, and the triple gears were just, they were. I mean, you could shake them like loose teeth. So I think that a lot of remachining is going to be necessary. But I don't think it's really a cost thing. There are things that I would love to do that are prevented by cost. Like, for example, another set of wooden felloes, or replacing the wheels outright. Those are things that you sort of need to wait for the right deal to come around. But otherwise, not so much.
Whoops. All right, sorry, I was typing and not. I really need a producer, someone sitting in the background running all the buttons and things so I can just sit here and chat. But
They call that a wife.
oh yeah, okay.
Sitting in the background pushing all the buttons. Yeah.
Don't you have a grandkid who could help us out there, Randall?
Yeah, he's too busy doing other stuff.
More important than this, no doubt. All right. Let's get another one going here. This is good. Randall.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, you're winning.
I need a pay increase.
Question 12.
Now, let's see.
All right. What's the one tip you'd give a new owner trying to learn how to drive a Model T?
Ah, boy. It's not as hard. It's way easier than when somebody explains it to you. When somebody tells you how to drive a Model T, you think, God, I'm never going to get this. But what I did, I don't suggest this. I had my car, the first time I drove it, pointed out of the driveway, and I just mashed the pedal and went out into traffic and started driving it. So, like I say, fear is a great motivator. So by the time I had just missed my third accident, I had it down pretty good.
Yeah, that's the swim by jumping in the deep end method. Yep.
Also, remember that, housewives drove these things. So once you forget everything else and go back to the way these are driven, once you get it, you go, well, this is simple. This is easy.
So housewives used to drive these. You're implying then that you need to be intelligent, rational.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, I got you.
But no, I mean, Model Ts are not anywhere near as difficult to drive as they look. Like, I think the three close together pedals that, and people have heard this folklore that there's a certain magic to it, and like at a lot of the car, the show and shine summer shows, that's one of the top questions that I get is, how do you drive this? Where did you learn to drive this? Like, how difficult? But really, there's not much to it, right? I mean, it's you could consider it to be a manual. It's an automatic transmission that is manually shifted, right? I mean, there's no separate clutch. It's built into the mechanism, depending on whether you're engaging low or high gear. It's just a matter of changing the mindset a little bit. But it's really not that bad. And once you like Randall, like hop into traffic, right? And you may stall it a couple times because somebody who drives a manual might push it down into low gear, thinking that they need to, put the clutch in, right? And that's what my my spouse was doing when I was teaching her. But it didn't take too long to for her to remember, okay, no, you got to hold it in a neutral position and then hit the brake, right? But it's really not that bad.
I think they're really easy to drive. The thing is, you need to unlearn other driving skills that you've got ingrained. So I think for someone coming from a horse, they're probably the easiest. Maybe a modern automatic or electric might be easier, but they're pretty darn easy to drive a Model T. The trouble is, if you're used to driving stick shift, it's a big change. There's a lot of differences. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Rob is on. Number 6. Question number 6. If someone were to look at the cars you've restored or collected, what would they learn about you as a person, Rob?
Oh, wow. Well, they would say probably, so this person does things pretty quick. And these are fixes that work. They're not always the prettiest, but they work. So perfectionism is not an attribute that I do have. I'm okay with decent or functional. I don't worry too much about specific authenticity. So I think somebody who's looking for like a points car, right? Something that is going to be judged. That's nothing that I own, right? I mean, I'm okay if the ammeter in the Model A is replaced with a one that has a Ford emblem, which is what you get these days from a lot of the suppliers. The originals didn't have Ford mark there. I don't care. I will use whatever is available. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, even if it's one from TSC for a farm tractor. I'm okay with it. So
Yeah, it's good.
what about you folks?
Randall, what would your cars say about you? A Model T Speedster that's handmade and a 49 Buick.
It would tell other people, I am never have this guy work on your car.
I doubt that.
He has a very understanding spouse, I think is one thing.
Yeah. It'd say, well, he tries.
Yep. Yeah, awesome.
What about you, Stephen? What would your car say about
Oh, see, I was hoping you weren't going to turn it back on to me. Yeah. My car would say, I've already hinted at this. My car would say, why haven't you fixed all these things that you said you were going to fix? Like, come on, man. Look after me. Drive me more and fix me more. I think that it's like a puppy. It wants more walks and it wants more attention.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
Question number 3. Rob, what's the most unexpected or memorable encounter you've had while showing or driving one of your cars?
Okay, so last year I was driving down to one of the Monday night show and shine, parking lot, classic car evening meetups, and I'm driving there with my Model T, and I'm almost there, and I come to a stoplight, and pulled up next to me is somebody who rolls down their window and basically was practically demanding to buy the car on the spot. And and he said, I don't care how much, I want this car, and you just name it. And I said, well, it's not for sale. And they said, everything is for sale for a price. Name it.
That is bizarre. That is bizarre.
Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity, though, Rob. You could have had your Model A Roadster.
Well, that's just it. That's zero, and could have bought anything. So, well,
that is odd. I have a feeling that guy would have soon you would have soon realized he was just talking out of his backside.
Oh, you're probably right, but it was an odd situation. But yeah. That was just out of the blue. I mean, it's very common. You get people honking, or they want you to honk the horn, or they stop you and ask you how fast it goes, and all those questions, but never so insistent on buying it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had an awkward one too at a car show where a guy right beside me was a hot rodder, and he just started laying into me about how I could bother with an old clunker like that? Why hasn't it got a V8 in it yet? And how do you drive a car without brakes? Why don't you put brakes on it? And just on and on and on. He just did not get it at all. You know, like as far as I'm concerned, you either understand why a classic car is unique on its own, or you don't. And he was definitely in the don't category.
Yeah. Are you waiting on me now, or
Only if you want to. We don't have to all chime in
Well,
every time.
I did have a nice encounter with
Oh, yeah.
someone. Yeah, I think it was last summer, maybe summer before we went out on the avenue. We went to the gas station. I was pumping gas into my tea, and this lady and her, what I assumed to be her son, came running over there, and by the way she was dressed and her accent, I could tell that she was a first generation African immigrant. And she just thought that car was just the coolest thing that she had ever seen in her life.
Well, it is.
And I just, if I had to look at everybody in the parking lot and say who's going to be interested in this car, I never would have picked her. But
Yeah.
she just thought that was the coolest thing. Of course, her son liked it,
Yeah.
because he's a second generation, so he's cool and hip. He knows about stuff. But I never would have guessed that she would throw such a fit over it.
That's nice.
I had a great conversation with her, while I was pumping gas and whatnot. It was really a cool experience.
That's nice. That's what it's all about, really, is when you meet somebody like that you can brighten their day. That's kind of cool. All right. Randall, you are just so lucky.
It's the way my whole life's gone.
Question number 4. These chat questions just aren't coming up, and I keep knocking away at this. Question number 4. That's a good one. When you're behind the wheel of a classic car, how does it make you feel compared with driving a modern vehicle?
How does it make me feel? It makes me feel connected to the machine. Like my Dodge. I have no feeling of the road or movement. I mean, I can be going 85 miles an hour in it, and it feels like 40. But on the other hand, the Model T, if you're doing 30, it feels like 500 miles an hour because it's going everywhere except where you're pointing it, and the wind's in your face, and it's bumping along, and the tail end's skidding around every once in a while, and you just think, it's just much more visceral experience than we've grown used to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was young, all my cars were garbage, and it kind of reminds me of then, because you're kind of out there on your own and a little dangerous, a little bit of danger in the air while you drive it. But yeah, and I like driving it because I've never seen anybody along the road that didn't wave or smile at it as I went by.
Here. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, it's a different thing driving a really old car. I don't know, for me, all your troubles seem to evaporate for a while. I guess because you're so involved in operating it, like it requires you to operate it. You're not just sitting on it or in it. And it's, it's got a bit of noise, and it's got the wind, and it's, I don't know. You just you don't think about other stuff for a while, and you just get a break from everything. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. And if you got a friend with you, it's even better. You start talking about things, and Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're going to get a chat question here. I know it. Rob is up.
I would like to buy a vowel.
Yeah.
Chat question it is. All right.
There
Well,
you go.
so we had body panels. So this one may be quick and easy to answer, and then I think we got one that's a little more general after this.
Yeah. Do any of you make body panels, or are they cheap enough to buy where you are? Well, I do know somebody local who will do some of that, but I mean, it depends on which panel. Otherwise, I think we are just like pretty much everyone else, where you're waiting for one of the swap meets to find a decent condition panel. In Canada, there are a lot of people that go down to Hershey right in the fall, but there are a number of swap meets all throughout Canada as well. They're just much smaller in size, and if you go to enough of them, you can eventually find what you're looking for. As far as new, well, we basically would be ordering from any of the suppliers, to Langs, Snyder's, and whatnot in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm not a bodywork guy in terms of forming new panels. There's my camera. There we go.
Randall, what about you, body panel wise? Have you fabricated any of your own, or do you?
Just that cowling up by the steering wheel, where the dashboard is. I made all that stuff.
Is that steel or aluminum?
Steel.
Okay.
Yeah, made it out of steel.
Yeah, good for you. You just watch Kyle's channel and then did that, right?
Kyle.
Yeah, and then do that.
Because it's amazing. He's a wizard.
Yeah, he can do incredible things with steel.
With garbage. Just start off with the absolute garbage and end up with a fender you could put on a 100-point car.
Mm-hmm. There's the YouTube channel One Who Collects, and he's based out of California, and I've watched a number of his videos. He's built some beautiful panels and has pretty much, I think, built the entire body for his 14. I think it's a 14 or 15 Model T that he was building.
Yeah.
Rust does that too. He popped up here. His experience with new panels is garbage, and he just makes them himself. Same thing. He's had to make a lot of the panels for his 22.
Excellent.
Yep. That One Who Collects guy, I never miss his show.
No, it's good stuff.
Yeah, really great channel.
All right, one or two more, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. And it's me. Randall's pleased every time. Chat question. All right, so I saw a Steam car question here. Here we go. Would you ever consider owning a Steam car? Wow, it was my dad's dream to have a Stanley Steam car someday. I was never really into them. I'd never seen one in person or anything until I was at Hershey this summer. Wow, they are neat. They are so neat. So would I ever consider it? Absolutely. Would it be more than I could manage to repair and maintain? Maybe. But wow, they are neat. I just love when they drive down the road. They're so quiet. It's just make a little puff now and then. Oh, it's awesome. Really neat.
I'll tell you what, the steam cars. I'd kill the Pope with a golf club to get a steam car.
There you go.
If that's what it took, I would do
Oh, that's good. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes.
it.
Rob, you're going to take our final question of the night. Number 11. What is the unicorn part that you've been hoping to find but never seems to be within reach?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Is there any part that I've not been able to source? I can't see.
Or special tools?
I mean, nothing that I've been able to get around or not be able to get around. Like, I think Model Ts and Model As, which are really my primary focus, are so common, right? I think if you look hard enough, you can find just about anything. With that said, at least where I live, the one truly difficult thing to find are good wooden wheels or wooden fellow wheels, or wheelwrights, right? People that could restore them. There are quite a few wheelwrights in the Amish and Mennonite communities. I have tried to contact some of them just to find out what they would do with a Model T wheel. I haven't yet found anybody that would be truly comfortable to do it. I know there are folks out there that advertise that they do the rebuilds, but even just finding good used ones, right? Like a spare, for example, that's really hard to find.
Yeah.
That's probably about it for me. What about you guys?
I found my unicorn part, and here it is. Let's see if I can make it visible. I figured this part must exist in the world, this tool. This is a valve seat dressing tool for Model T with rounded face. So you can reface your valve seats radiused like they were from the factory, not 45 degrees. And I found that at Hershey. It was worth the trip just because I've looked and looked even for a photo of one of these online and never found it, but it had to have existed because the T's were sold with radius valve seats. So when I found that, I was like real excited. But overall at Hershey, I was really disappointed because I was looking for some of the Stevens tools for doing front axles and that sort of thing. I couldn't find anything. There was nothing to be had. I know Todd Touchbury, I don't know if he's still online, but he recently scored Stevens rethreader for the front hubs on the Model T. Also a pretty rare tool. So that's the kind of thing I get more excited about is the special tools, really.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Those are difficult to come by, right? Because I think a lot of people that are restoring a Model T block, they are going to likely use the slightly more modern the angle cuts when they're cutting the valve seat, right?
Yeah, and I probably will too, but I think it's just cool to have this just because it's so unique. Yeah.
Rob, have you ever considered attacking one of them wheels yourself? Just getting the stuff and doing it?
So I have a box of spokes that they are for wooden fellow. They were cut. They were I'm not sure if it was one of the sourced from one of the resellers. It was a box that was given to me by an old Model T person around, and they're brand new. And I think that I could probably figure out how to come up with a some sort of press mechanism. My issue is with the fellows themselves. I don't have any tooling here. I don't have the ability to steam wood or bend or anything like that.
So,
Sure you do. Sure you do. You just got to get creative. You got to get creative.
those the fellows are not available like the spokes are.
No, I haven't
Is that
seen
what
them.
you're
And
saying?
yeah, I haven't seen replacement fellow parts available
Oh,
anywhere. You'd have to
Alright.
make them from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm watching some of the released video on YouTube, some of the early, Model T assembly video. It showed in the factory that they would actually press the spokes and the fellow into the rim at the same time and then rivet it. And
Wow.
yeah, so that all went in as one unit. Whereas conversely, I know with the demountable wheels, you could build a jig to hold it and like thread it rod, and you can actually angle them in, or
Yeah.
right, like press them in. But you can't do that with the wooden fellows, as far as I know. Now, anybody in the audience here who does have any experience with that, I'm sure you know a heck of a lot more about it than I do.
Yeah.
That's a cool project, though. When you decide to start it, Rob.
Around here,
We'll be,
Rob, the Amish that do the wheels are the Stutzmans. And I believe there's Stutzmans out in Pennsylvania also that do that.
Mm-hmm.
around here, the Amish have all switched to fiberglass wheels, so there actually aren't that many left that do wood.
Oh, those aren't Amish. Them are the Mennonite.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't see any last questions. So I think that was a fun little session. That was cool. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And my hosts, Randall and Rob, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That was
Thanks
fun.
for having us, and thanks to all the viewers. There were a lot of good questions that came in and comments, and it was really interactive. I really enjoyed this evening.
Yeah, it was fun.
Did we have
viewers? Did we have? Well, we have these guys online.
Was Joe here?
Joe is here. Joe is always here. Yeah. So just as an announcement, I'm going to California for work next week, so I will not have a dispatch or anything like that. But I'll still be around online, of course. So
Okay.
hope you guys have a good week, and we'll see you for this next group live stream like this in a month's time, first Thursday of every month, guys.
Hope your passport's filled out correctly.
Yeah.
Happy travels.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I'm sure it'll be all right. All right, guys, I'm going to roll the credits here. Thank you very much, and good night. Thanks to my guests tonight, Randall, Rob, and Vince. Couldn't do it without you guys. Randall, thanks for the music that you made for the show. And thanks to the viewers who tuned in to listen to us old car guys rambling on about old car stuff. We really appreciate it. Good night.